In this, the last unit of Chapter 4 in our InDesign CS6 course, we're going to discuss the last two layouts that are available in our Preferences dialog box: the File Handling layout and the Clipboard Handling layout. Let's go to the File Handling layout, and we'll start there. At the top is a button that would allow me to navigate my way towards the Document Recovery Data folder. Now, as I put my cursor on that, it shows the tooltip that says it's in Users, Randy Hagen, and a number of subdirectories. Let me bring that back just a second. Ending finally in my InDesign Recovery folder. What this means is that if for some reason, say, my computer lost its plug, I accidentally kicked out the power, and my computer shut down, I would have a recovery file that was saved that deals with most all, if not all, of the commands that I had executed since the last time I saved it, or if I haven't saved it in the first place, to when I originally created the file. This is one of those reasons why I have you, when you're doing your exercises, save a file immediately after you create it so you have reference points to get back to that. Let's deal with the next section in our File Handling dialog box: Saving InDesign Files. The first options box listed is the number of recent items to display, and you'll notice it's set at 10. Now, you may remember when we started with the first unit of this InDesign course, where I talked about in the welcome screen that it would list up to 10 files that had been opened since you opened the program underneath that Open folder in your welcome screen. That's where this setting comes into play. You can make that larger or smaller as you see fit. We'll just leave it at the setting. Beneath that, we have the ability to always save preview images with documents. Basically what this means is that we have a proxy view that we can see when we're working with Windows Explorer, as we're dealing with the Windows platform, or we're dealing with Finder Windows when we're working on the Mac, that when I click just once on an InDesign document file, what it will do is it'll show a small proxy preview of, in this case, the first 2 pages, although I could set it to be larger if that's what I wanted to do. Or I can change the preview size to make it smaller or make it larger when I'm looking at that file in my icon views in either Windows or the Macintosh platforms. Snippet imports. Basically what this does is this deals with how we can take information that we bring in from a file, copy it or cut it when we're working with that, and it'll take that and position whatever that snippet is, either where my cursor is or an original location that corresponds to where it was laid out on a page before I had saved that snippet. We'll go for the cursor location by default because that gives us control for where we place those snippets when we put them in our InDesign documents. Beneath that, we have a set of checkboxes for dealing with links or files that we have placed in our InDesign document. We basically have 2 ways for those to be stored. One of them is that we can embed those elements, the text or graphics that we place inside our InDesign documents. That makes the file exceptionally large. What we want to do is we want to link, or for it to make a reference to where that file is stored. So when we're working on our own computers, we can have a smaller file size working with our InDesign document, and it knows where that's found on our systems. Or when we package them to be taken somewhere else, let InDesign know that it needs to collect those links wherever they're stored and save them in a single location for when we're going to package it and take it somewhere else, whether it's an archive in our computer or provide it to a printer halfway across town or halfway across the world for that matter. We have a number of options here. One of them is to check links before opening the document. So what will happen is when you open the InDesign document, if this checkbox is selected, InDesign will make a poll of all the linked elements that are tied to your InDesign document. And if any of them are missing or have been moved from where they were before, what it will do is it will alert you to that and allow you to fix that situation. The second thing it does, as we look at the second checkbox, is it allows us to find missing links before we open it. If we check it, InDesign will alert us if it can't find files linked from that document. The third option, create links when placing text in spreadsheet files. Primarily, by default, InDesign will simply create links to graphics. The text it brings in and will create as unlinked or independent pieces. So when you're working with InDesign, you don't have to have a link to those text or those spreadsheet files. However, if you want to know whether that file has been changed, you can check this option. And what it will do is the next time you open the InDesign document, it will pull that linked text or spreadsheet file and immediately alert you once you open it whether that file has been changed since the last time you were working with that document. Finally, preserve image dimensions when relinking. What this does is it says that you may have scaled your graphic when it was placed into an InDesign document. Make it larger, make it smaller. By checking this checkbox, what InDesign will do is it will preserve however that image has been brought into the document. So when it's scaled in, it matches up to whatever scaling or transformation attributes you've applied to it when you placed it in that InDesign document. And finally, there's a default relink folder. And basically what this does is this tells me to look for the last place that graphic was when I relinked it or tied it to my InDesign document. Or it mandates that InDesign will have to find that in the original folder or computer location where it was stored, or it'll alert you and make you correct that. In this case, we'll go for the easier option, which is it was the last place we left it when we placed it in our InDesign document.